Next up, we have the team of Billy McKinney, John Ortega, and Brett Massingham. Bill McKinney, we all know him in the Southern California section. When did you leave?
95.
Wow. Okay. Well, we used to remember him in the Southern California section. Yeah. Well.
I've never left, John.
You never left?
Not 7 years.
Okay. He was gone for 7 years overseas. Bill, 2011 Metropolitan Chapter Teacher of the Year. He was the presenter of the D-Plane concepts at our last Spring Teaching Summit. For those of you who were there, he was elected to membership in '93, and he's the founder and lead instructor of Swing Fit Golf Academy based in Marbella Country Club. He's an authorized golfing machine master and certified impact zone instructor, as well as a member of the World Golf Scientific Congress. Along with him is Mr. John Ortega. John is a co-founder of the John Byron Golf and also the inventor of the putting alignment trainer and training system. He has worked with players on the PGA Champions Tour and LPGA Tours with putter fittings and use of the putting alignment trainer. Also, we have Brett Massingham, another section member. Brett is a well-known club fitting specialist and has been one of the SCPJ's most consistent player for nearly 2 decades. He is renowned for being the first and only person to play in a PGA Tour event while diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So without further ado, Mr. McKinney and team.
Grab up the old microphone thing here.
We're on? Yeah.
Check. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Good.
Am I on? Terrific.
Good.
And I'll feel naked without a golf club, you know? As a golf coach, you gotta have a golf club in your hand, right? How do you follow that, Rick? That was terrific. I feel like Coach let me in. This is meant to be a little funny, but as we practice, we realize that we're not all that funny. So we'll do our best at keeping you awake and let you know where we've been and what we're all about. John?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, we're not used to coming up in front of people and talking, so sometimes we need to get a little priming going. So I'm going to start out by just getting my vocal cords warmed up. So I'm just going to do a little vocal training. Does everybody have any vocal training in here? No? Yeah. There's some of the things that they do is they'll have you do things like you go ho, ho, ho. So you can open up your vocal cords and you're ho. Try it and touch your chest. Ho, ho, ho. Yeah. And you can feel yourself resonate in your chest, right? And then if you want to feel like a different part of your vocal production, you could do something like a monkey does. He goes, hoo, 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 hoo. And if you feel your chest, you're not really coming from your chest, right? So one of the things that I've learned in my vocal training is if you want to be heard, you need to come from here. I got plenty of here to come from. I'm trying to lose that, but you know, that's just something I wanted to offer for you guys. If you want to work on your the strength of your voice, you can do things like ho, 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 and then when you're walking your dogs like I do, of course I put on Hall & Oates, and I don't know what people are thinking because I got this headphones on and I'm going off. I was going to sing the Star Spangled Banner today, but he called it out. So he thought I couldn't hit the high notes, but I assure you that I can.
You can.
Yeah.
Next slide, please.
Okay. All right. Let's get started.
All right. We're going to start with engaging you guys. We all saw that show, with Charles Barkley and well-known teacher. First question is, how would you fix Barkley? Anyone? Donnie? We want to get people just involved in this. You had a chance to come to you for a lesson.
We'll find out what his motivation was.
Absolutely. It's hard going second,
Yeah.
Come on, anyone, like some mechanical things. You all saw that crazy needle there. Yeah, Zach.
He needs to stand up when he hits it.
Stand up when he hits it. All right. Is it anything? Come on.
Would anybody ask him why he's in the state he's in? Like, how come you do what you do?
Yeah. He won't change until he feels the reason why he can't do the swing or something.
Yeah.
There's something blocking why he can't do it.
Yeah. Like a guy like Rick might be able to help him identify that.
He answered that. He said in one of the celebrity events, he was a decent player, and he hit it haywire and hit somebody, and that fear is that caused a block to where he didn't want to pull the trigger.
Exactly. I'd watched that episode, and I was just, I was throwing that out as though I didn't know, but I did know.
So lobotomy.
Yeah.
Somewhat,
Okay.
yeah.
Good. Now some other
Give
things.
everybody helmets when he
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that he's doing mechanically, but maybe that's not it. That's kind of the point is there's some stuff deeper down. And that's a little bit what this is about in the coaching concept. John and I just drove back from, we went out to Scottsdale for the World Scientific Congress of Golf. And it was terrific. It's in 4 years, every 4 years. It'll be in St. Andrews. Put it on your schedule, do it. It's that good. We were driving out there and we were just kind of laughing, preparing for this. And we came up with what, when, how. About some of these things, about what would you teach them, when would you introduce a given concept, how would you show them, and that's kind of sort of what our talk is going to be about today too. And just evaluate potential solutions. We'll get to that. Go ahead. Next slide, please. I always wanted to say that, like a professor. All right. So some of the stuff, the buzz in coaching. Again, the word coaching itself. Not that it's bad to be a teacher or an instructor. We've been that. You've got to be those first, but coach is sort of the new. I don't want to say, in the spirit of 2.0, coaching people, it's more whole person based.
Yeah, Jim Flick, he talks to everybody as a coach, if they're a golf coach or not. He calls everybody coach. Have you noticed that? Have you ever been around Jim Flick?
I am.
Yeah.
Coach.
Coach.
I
So
coach.
it's good to be a
Fellow
coach. At
coaches.
first I thought coach was kind of like PE coach, golf professional. No, coach. Coach is good.
Coach is good. All right, let's start with just a few of the concepts. And then we'll come back to them. Just external focus versus internal focus. External is everything outside of you and your body, and internal is, say, like focus on your shoulder or your core or your hip or something like that. That's more of an internal focus. So focusing on a body part.
Random versus block. Random practice would be where you hit your pitching wedge and you hit your 7-iron, or you play holes on the course. Block training would be hit your 7-iron a lot. Try to groove your swing with the 7-iron, or try to groove your swing with the driver. And the learning experts they've done some tests that will prove that if you switch the task around, like they have 3 patterns that they do in this one test, where they key in like a certain set of numbers, call it set A, set B, and set C. And one group will do all A one day, all B the next day, all C. And then the next day, another group will do A, B, and C alternately throughout their practice. And they find that the group that varies their practice learns the task better. So we can start encouraging people to, instead of hitting one club a lot and trying to perfect their swing, they can get different clubs and practice in different ways, and it's more effective.
Look at this. They're all still awake.
Yeah, they are.
Amazing. Contextual interference, create the environment. Something about coaching is, a good coach, or effective coaching, I should say, would be, let's say you have a competitive player or someone that's trying to be a competitor. You create difficulties for them, like more challenging things. Might put them, this is the last hole to qualify for the Masters or whatever it is. Something you make up the environment for them. The environment. There are certain coaches in here, I'm sure, have done a great job at your course or your training center, your coaching center, however you want to call it, providing an environment that just is a breeding ground for excellence and performance. Having players, like from the tour that hang out there, or college players, junior players. Imagine how valuable that is for the juniors that get to hang out in an environment like that.
The spacing of sessions and duration. Just like anything else, if you do a little bit at a time, you tend to retain it more. So when you went to school, if you picked up the books and you studied a day at a time, hour at a time, when you went to take the test, you did well in the test and you also remembered it. If you did what I did, you cram at the end, of course you'll do okay on the test, but you don't remember it quite so much. So they found that if you practice like a bucket a day or just put the club in your hand, that tends to retain the skill better.
Supervised practice and play. Got an asterisk because I'll come to that in a minute too. We'll come back to that.
Long-term athletic development. There's a guy named Henry Brunton. I don't know if anybody knows who he is. Does anybody know? Yeah, he's the Canadian national coach. If you type in on YouTube, Canadian Mini Tour Pro, he's one of the characters in that. You guys got to write that down. That is so funny. It's a great, great thing. But he's gone to the Victorian Sports Institute and talked to the guys at Titleist Performance Institute. And all the science says that it's not good to have kids specialize before the age of 14.
13, 14, yeah.
13, 14. They develop more fully as athletes and as people if they play varying sports. So that's kind of what that's about.
Golf is a late specialization sport, it turns out. And just another thing about that, turns out you'd never guess what sport would be the best carryover for golf. I mean, if anyone get it, it's soccer. The kids that were early soccer players, turns out they do the best, it's the best carryover. Now, whether those are just the coordinated kids that play soccer or keep playing soccer, then they go to golf and they're still coordinated. But anyway, that's what the research showed. Was it my turn?
Yeah, you're
Oh, motor skill
yeah.
acquisition and myelination. Again, we were around all these neuroscientists and professors of whatever, psychology, I guess, I don't know. That's just a part of the buzz, this myelination. You might have heard Tiger Woods say, I'm close, I'm close. We've heard him say that before. And at the Masters, I think it was last year, wherever it was, he talked about myelination. There it was. And that just has to do with the way the neurons connect and sort of develop bandwidth, like sort of cable strength, like get in the groove going.
Desirable difficulties, that would be, an example of that would be practicing putting with your eyes closed, getting off 1 foot. Different things, like you see the kids that are really good at golf, like Rory McIlroy, and they bounce the ball in the club, and they spin it, and they throw it up and hit it. So they've been noticing that the kids that, or the people that develop the most skill at this game, they can do things like that. It isn't always about having a perfect swing plane, yada, yada, yada. They can do things with the golf club. So that's what that's about.
Next. Sample coaching programs. Oh yeah, just, some of you will be able to use this. Some of you, this may be just way off your radar, but this would be something if I'm in a private club and a few of the people are taking advantage of this. I call it mastery program, $600 a month. They get 6 sessions with me, plus 9 holes. The game upgrade program is $450 a month. That's four sessions. I'm trying to stop, say lessons more seldom and sessions more frequently. 9 holes. The essential program, probably the most popular, they get 2 hours, including on-course coaching. And then part of this includes up to supervised practice again, up to twice a week. So I set a schedule time where people can come and hit balls with me. It's sort of a jam session or, just hitting balls where I watch them. And it's kind of mini lessons, sessions, I should say. 9-hole round schedules always have like 2 people, share the time. You only got so many hours in the week to do that. You can't probably do it with everyone. Students get invited to a private Facebook group and forum if they want, something that makes them feel a little pride of membership.
Those include vocal training?
Vocal training, yes, yeah, times, yes.
Yeah, I do that. We do that.
Yeah, all those, yeah.
Yeah. Scales.
Oh, okay. All right, this one, I'm the red.
Okay.
The X factor, improving accuracy and carry distance. These are, again, the World Scientific Congress of Golf. Again, you just missed it. Anyone here go? Did anyone in here go to that?
We had 30 professionals.
You were at the St. Andrews one?
Yeah.
How great is it?
Yeah, that was great. I didn't get to go to this one.
And it was right in Scottsdale. And there were only 31, on the first day there were only 31 PGA pros.
Oh.
And then after that it was 20, and after that it was about 12 the rest of the week. So we're like 1/5 of, basically there was 10 the last day. So we're 20% of all the PGA pros in America that went to this thing.
Yeah.
Believe that? The X Factor, again, this is Gabrielle Wolf. She's a researcher from Germany that did all this testing on people. Like, it's sort of improving accuracy, carry distance. They tested a lot of sports, a lot of different activities, like standing on a board that moves, and they say, all right, well, focus on your core or your feet, and and they measure them, and they try to keep something that's really wobbly, and they say, all right, we'll focus on the board, at a different point, or focus on the laser on the wall, or something like that, and they do much better. That was one of the things. And then it moves into golf, too. Go ahead, John.
Mastery breakthrough and what was that? Let's see.
Source
Yeah.
Brett Shoemaker.
Yeah. Anyhow, that talk was given by Fred Shoemaker, and anybody that knows Fred, he's got a different way of communicating how people can learn golf. So after he gave his presentation, he talked about this and that, and I asked him if he was a teacher or a coach. He says, well, it depends on how you want to define it. And I said, well, how about you define it? He said, well, a teacher is somebody that was going to say, hey, do all these things, and then watches them do it. And a coach is somebody that helps bring out the skill inside somebody. I'm still trying to figure that out. But he says it's more about the player than it is the coach. So try to have them tell you what they feel, why they do it. It's more player-centric than anything.
Educare, pull out.
There you go.
This is kind of one of my favorite things. This was Bob Bjork of UCLA, Dr. Bjork, how we learn in practice versus how we think we should learn in practice. And this is a bit what we're up against here. they did all this, random and external stuff, and they asked people, they gave them like a questionnaire, what do you think is going to work best? Well, I think muscle memory is going to work best. I think if I stand and hit 7 irons over and over again and really get that in the groove, they anticipated, they predicted that would work the best. And, well, what if we give it to you this way? We hit a 7 iron, a 9 iron, a drive, took a break, maybe tried some left-handed. Oh no, that's not going to work. So when they show up, what they want is the thing they think is going to work. And you go, here's the problem. That doesn't work as well. Okay, so as you're standing there as a coach, I guess it's our job to educate them about this, that what performs the best. So we get them on our side, that we can work that way a little better instead of the kind of groove in the 7 iron over and over and over.
Another segment that we saw, it was called The Neuroscience of the Quiet Eye. Dr. Joan Vickers, her name Joan?
Joan Vickers.
Joan Vickers. She's from Canada. She showed some film clips of non-expert golfers, and she had an eye tracker. It isn't just like, what do you call those GoPro heroes? It's something that follows where the eyes go.
Cyborg thing.
And the non-expert golfers, they looked all over the place. Their heads moved really quickly. And the expert golfers, their eyes would move slowly, and they kind of went to like recommended spots. So like on a breaking putt, they'd look at apex or a place where the ball should be at some point, and they would track back to the ball real slow, back and forth maybe 2 times, and then just before they hit the putt, you could see that their eyes were very, very stable. And if you look at the PGA Tour, the guys who putt well, Tiger Woods, Steve Stricker, you see that. When I used to go out to the PGA Tour, I'd watch things like that, and people would come to me for putting lessons or putting instruction, coaching, and I'd see them do this over and over. It's like, wow, that looks, you'd be pretty dizzy after moving your head that fast for that many times. So what that was about, just to demonstrate that good putters look a certain way.
Really interesting. And then developing elite athletes, Henry Brunton, the national coach of Canada, again, they're doing a lot of great stuff in a lot of other countries, and it's our job to still get to be the leader again, because frankly, I think we're not quite in the moment. Henry Brunton talked about, like they've got these levels of little kids, and then you got the better high school kids, and they all want to be the best in the world, or a tour. What do you want to be when you grow up? A tour player. And he posed the question, it's like, gosh, as a coach, are we really doing a great service for all these people getting their hopes up? And at the end of the day, his answer had to do with young people who learn mastery skills, or get discipline, or learn excellence. Kids that play good golf end up being more successful in life. And so we can all feel good about helping kids dream about being the Masters champion. And maybe you never know, they might turn out to be one day, but meanwhile they'll do better in life, and we should be proud of that.
And Henry Brunton, on his website, he has information available that he's gone around the world to get. If you Google search, I don't have the information right here. I think I have it in our, what do they call it, the abstract that they gave us. But you can go there and look at all the things that he's come up with. One of the things that he put forth, which was pretty amazing to me, he said in any given birth year, pick one, in 1985, there are going to be 10 people in the world that will have viable PGA Tour careers. So out of everybody in the world, in 1985, 10 people, 7 of them from the US, 3 are from the rest of the world. So I mean, that's a pretty small number, right? If you consider in the major leagues, they bring in 2,500 new prospects per year. And those guys have an opportunity to make it to the big time, right? Baseball. In golf, we have 10 per year. Pretty small number.
Very interesting. Okay, again, this will be the last of this stuff. Core movement patterns, you're all familiar probably with TPI, Greg Rose, great presenter, a very dynamic guy. Talked a lot about, kids, when they learn crawling, dissociation. We talked about the X factor. If someone had never done that, he showed us films of kids that were like homeschooled, that had never played when they were really little, and then maybe the parents didn't let them crawl on the floor and roll around, and they had them skip, and I won't even do it, it's too embarrassing. They were that clumsy. So if a kid shows up and they can't even skip, how do you expect them to hit a nice high draw with this, driver or something?
Or an adult, same way. There's simple things that you can do, like I don't really tell them that I'm testing them, but I see if they can do that, which is like kick your leg in the plane like that and turn your body the opposite way, right? Disassociation. So sometimes a lot of people do that, so things like that. You can
walk like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. While we're buzzing through this, anyone have a question yet? Anything so far? Nothing? Good.
Okay.
We're that clear. Did we go the wrong one?
You skipped.
Oh, nice. I got his.
Flip,
All right, optimal kinetic sequencing. This was there were a lot of biomechanists there. Doc PhDs, Sasha McKenzie, Canadian dude. He made a computer-generated model to show all the different variations of downswing, like sort of the Sergio Garcia, the David Toms might be another option, or KJ, the guys that do this. And that was just one of the things we found really interesting. And it turned out, like, obviously David Toms and KJ Choi are great golfers. You can't, you wouldn't want to go, hey, you need to be Sergio Garcia because this is the optimal thing. But he had a math model showing if you wanted to be a long hitter, that would certainly be longer than, say, this way. But this is totally viable. It might be good for consistency and distance control. Like each has its charms, I'd say.
Right. And what was Brody's first name?
Who?
Brody, the shuttling coach?
Mark Brody.
Mark Brody. Yeah, he put forth a lot of statistical data about what tour players do that the rest of us don't. And they said after careful statistical analysis, they discovered that tour players, they shoot lower scores on hard courses than we do. So that's one of the things they do. But more than that,
hit more greens, they hit it farther.
Yeah, they hit it farther. But they talked about like putt for dough was one of the things he put forth. Well, yeah, the good players on tour, they putt well. Like Ernie Els, Bo Weekley. He's a poor putter. If they putted average, they'd finish in the top 10 every week. But they're the worst putters on tour statistically. Whereas Luke Donald was an example he used. Luke Donald's always been a good putter. He became the best putter and he became also the best inside like 100 yards or something like that. What he really needed to do statistically was to improve his driving and his long game. And so now he's not the best long game player, but he's above average. And those two things combined helped him become the #1 player. So and it's kind of like Moneyball. People are starting to use statistics in golf to critically evaluate instead of just like having like a subjective way of looking at it. Like Luke Donald has a pretty swing. He's probably a pretty good hitter of the ball. See what the numbers do, because the numbers don't lie. So that's what they had to offer with the shot link. And I think if you're going to be involved coaching elite players, that might be something that you might want to look into. That way you can put your focus on the parts of the games that are not strong.
It's the Vision 54, making the best better was Pia Nielsen and Lynn Marriott. They spoke for about an hour and a half, and it was just terrific. I mean, these two women, they've done so much good with a lot of the women players, the Swedish national team. Maybe you're all familiar with them. They were, as they were speaking, kind of like we're trying to do, you just had this feeling like they're just so nurturing. This coaching is about nurturing. It's about, kind of a whole well-rounded enabling of our clients, our students.
Yeah, and their statement is My 54, which means that each player kind of tracks what makes them tick. And they've noticed with some of their players that, like Grace Park, for instance, they asked her what she enjoys doing the most. She said shopping. When's the last time you shopped? Well, I haven't had time to shop. I've been working on my game. They said, well, go shop. So she went to shop, and coincidentally, she started playing better. So, the My 54 isn't about, necessarily improving the mechanics of your swing. They work on those things. But they also work on all segments of the game, which include attitude, spirit, etc.
All right, now a brief thing about what they asked us to actually speak on today. The communication. What?
Ooh. Okay.
Huh? Ooh?
Yeah.
Is that
When?
who, what, when?
Yeah.
Connection and presence. All right, so Facebook, website, ebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. Anyone using all of those things? Nice. Anyone using some of them? Is anyone not using any of these things? Oh, nice. All right, so we're all using some of them. Really, Facebook is what everyone's doing. There's that Google Plus. There's some other stuff. Have a fan page. Have your own thing. Have it connect to your website. I had fun making my own website. I'm not a tech geek at all. I just had the time to sit down and make a bunch of mistakes and keep fixing it. And connect that with your Facebook and all that stuff. It's so easy to write an ebook nowadays. I mean, there's just Google how to write an ebook. Part of our deal is trying to elevate your status in the golf world as a coach. Get some recognition or some presence out there, I should say. I don't really use LinkedIn very well, and you get all these invitations. I just got one a minute ago, and all right, whatever. But I don't use that enough, and I'm going to try to do that. YouTube, put little about 2-minute videos on there. Don't go over 2 minutes. People in the ADD world. You guys still awake?
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
YouTube videos?
Yeah, let's see. Okay, emails, texts, phone calls, I do those things, everybody here does. Networking associations, I don't know, I do a whole lot of that, maybe I do, maybe I don't. We have men's club, women's club, senior club. You know, I interact with them, they're the easy ones, but sometimes I'll get involved with teachers associations or groups of accountants, and they kind of come my way. I haven't done a very good job of reaching out, so if anybody really knows how to do that, I'm all ears. Really get better at that, but
I go to like Chamber of Commerce meetings and another thing, Business Networking International. Those work, people come. I started a breakfast club at Marbella, and twice a month, like these business guys come have breakfast and then have a coaching session for an hour afterward, and it pays, and it's, you know, you develop some new fans there. Oh, is this mine here?
that is yours.
Oh, okay. Business cards, flyers, presentations, breakfast club, just talked about that stuff. You know, obvious next. No, not next screen. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like staff bag, I think everybody here has a staff bag with their name on it, pretty much. If you don't, you should have one, right? Clothing, some guys have their own brand. What's his name, Jeff Ritter, the squared up guy? He has his own clothes. That's really cool. Imagine if you had something you had to offer like Vision 54, you have Vision 54 on your clothes. It kind of helps, you know, make you different.
I'm going to Vision 53 then.
There you go, one better. DVDs, Billy, he does a lot of DVD work with OHP. I haven't done much of that. I'm filming one right now, or it's been filmed, it's being edited. They're going to try to like put somebody's head on my shoulders. I said it doesn't work. And a coaching station. Coaching station, you know, if you look at Bobby Laskin at Baroque Buco, like he's the ultimate coaching. He has the ultimate coaching session. And Doc Wright, those guys, when you look on their range, you said, hey, those are some guys that give golf lessons.
They mean business.
Yeah, these guys are serious golf teachers, right? Golf coaches, rather. So have a coaching station. I use the sign, have my staff bag up, and put on the front of the range, but everybody wants us to go to the back of the range where they feel comfortable. So we have like a teaching tee, back of the range. You know, it's a really comfortable place until the 300-yard hitters start bombing us. Is that a range ball? I'm like, no. We won't get hit, but yeah, so I have a coaching station.
All right, more of the communication part. Opening, giving, closing, and follow-up of the coaching session. So just some ideas. Maybe some of you already do this. Someone shows up for a lesson or a session. Interview and screen them. You know, just when they show up with me, I just kind of make them do, you know, like to see. It makes them feel like you're sensitive to their uniqueness. Like you get them to do a squat. Can you touch your toes? I think it right off the bat makes them realize, like, hey, I'm not going to try to turn you into Tiger Woods today. And they like feeling that. It is good to see if someone's really tight or really stable, let's call it, or they can't do these given movements. It does help you as a coach to recognize that. Interviewing, you know, get them talking right off the bat. I think a lot of people show up for their lesson and think, oh my God, this guy's going to make me, like, I'm already self-conscious, I'm already nervous, he's going to, you know, people show up all the time thinking they're going to get ruined, you know, and be nervous. And then they leave and, oh, it was nothing like I thought. That's fun. That's when we did a good job.
It seems to be more helpful if you use fewer words. So, like for instance, if somebody doesn't do this with their wrists, and if you say, oh, you got to radial deviate your wrist and ulnar deviate, I just say instead, do the golf thing. Golfers do this, right? So they say that you should use simpler is better. What does Einstein say?
I became a better coach when I saw this quote with Einstein. He said, if you can't explain something simply, you do not understand it well enough. All right?
Cheers to my eyes. Awesome. Okay. I think that one's yours.
Prioritize and be student-oriented. Like, so video. I use a video camera, you know, pretty, not all the bells and whistles, but a pretty good one with high frames. But I use it to what I would call prioritize. Like, I think it's pretty easy to rip someone apart and find all the flaws when really probably the best coaching is to go, here's this one thing. Gee, you got a lot of good stuff in your swing. Maybe you've all done that and looked, you know, I hate my swing or whatever. I mean, I did that. I don't know, you know, if everyone goes, oh, my swing is awesome. Mostly it's the opposite. So got to watch it with how much video I think you're using. Prioritize with it.
Kind of going back to a point that Rick talked about, like if somebody leaves a lesson, they don't know what you worked on. It's not really clearly defined. You probably want to say to them, why don't you tell me back what you heard? What are you going to work on? You know, if they can't give you a good answer, that would be a good time to kind of reinforce whatever it was. So that seems to be like probably the biggest, like the most important part of lesson giving or a coaching session is making sure they understand it and they can explain it back to you. That means that the terms that you used were simple enough or effective in whatever way.
Follow up after a lesson. I think it's great. And beside getting someone's email, you can do whatever you want with that. However nice you want to do with that stuff. But phone call, text message. I like to follow up and go through everyone and send them a little note, like maybe that night, maybe the next day, and say, hey, great lesson yesterday. Are you working on these things? I might do a little video of, hey, by the way, this was the thing we worked on, whatever it is. And it's amazing how, with the comments I get on that, how much value people place on that to go, gee, my pro was thinking about me a day or two after or that night. That's something they extremely value. Oh, a brief sample coaching session with Brett Massingham. You see, I put Sevi up there. One of the things about coaching I wanted to put in there, even though Brett looks a little like Sevi, actually. But as coaches, do we provide an environment that a Trevino, a Bubba Watson, a Furyk, a Sevi, where they could flourish, where they would be able to achieve what they achieved in golf? Or did we try to fit, hey, Jim Furyk, sorry, that'll never work, dude. You're holding it all wrong, and you got more planes than Delta, dude. Would we ruin someone like that? And I hope not. Hopefully we're moving past that stuff. So here's Brett. Hey, Brett. Let's do a brief sample coaching with Brett here. So maybe a little suspension of disbelief. Hey, nice to see you today, Brett. How you doing? Good. So what did you work on after your last session with me?
I worked on tempo, previous lessons we had, so kind of even tempo through the golf swing.
Tempo, all right, that's good. So it was like one of the things that, I don't know about you, but I like that 1, 2, 3, 1. It's not the same for everyone, but like having a smile. You want to hit a couple warm-up shots, Brett, for us? Sure. Almost golf balls. Those are terrific. They're a lot of fun. Kids love them, by the way. Kids of all ages. All right. So what else is going on in your life, Brett? So on, so on, so on. It's got a great life. Anyway, let's do. Go ahead and put this club over your hands, and let's try to see. This is hard. Go ahead and do let's see what your squat looks like your just brief squat. Okay, that's pretty good. Brett's not the most flexible guy in the world, but he's very stable. Very stable. All right, so that's maybe a word I might use instead of gee, you're stiff or all that. Can you touch your toes, Brett? Pretty good. Right, those two things right there. Again, I've let my client know that hey, I'm aware of your unique body type, let's say. All right, so just some other stuff, you get them talking. So into the coaching bit of it, I would say, let's use a couple of the concepts that we did here about being internal versus external. So Brett, let's go ahead and have you hit, but this time, let's make a couple of practice swings. Now I brought my dry erase ink marker, and I'm gonna mark this up. This is just about my new favorite coaching tool. Wipes right off. And it puts the golfer external, the sweet spot, the club face. Kind of one of the most important bits of golf, I think everyone would agree. Go ahead and give it a go. So just be aware of the sweet spot. See how we did. That's only good if you like dead solid perfect. Nice shot, Brett. Do that again. I might paint it up again. Same spot. Brett, what do you think about when you play golf, when you swing?
Nothing.
Anyone ever ask players that, good players? What do you think about? I get that 9 out of 10 times, nothing. And as a coach, I'm like, gee, what am I going to tell this guy? I don't want to start thinking. He's already a freaking state am champ or whatever. What are you feeling? You might be feeling your tempo. You might be picturing shots. Do you picture ball flights?
Yeah, I did a visual of what the golf course has given me. Back right flag, I want to hit fade. Back left, I want to draw it. In the sense I let the golf course tell me what I want to do.
Pretty good. Target back.
Right.
Do you ever, when you're playing, do you ever feel your core or your knees or your hands?
No.
Never. God, it's the same thing. I've been working with a couple really good players, and when I asked them that, and one had just come back to me, a kid who's an excellent player. This kid won the Division III NCAAs, and he took lessons for about 4 years with me. And all we ever really worked on was ball flights, trajectories. We go behind a tree, and I go, let's go over the tree, let's go around the tree, let's go into the tree, all these things. But what about my swing? Don't worry about that. Look, you look great. That's a little weird. Don't worry about that. You look great. Then he switched over to someone who is a method teacher. Okay?
Which one?
Never mind. All right. And he came back. He called me, in fact, just last week and said, hey, would it be all right if I came back? Of course. And he said, look, I feel like I know everything about the swing now, but I can't hit the ball anymore. And
What is the swing, by the way?
What is the swing?
What is the swing?
What is the swing?
The swing.
The swing? Yeah.
The swing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
people say, oh, gee, Bill, yeah, he knows a lot about the swing. I'm
The
like,
swing.
Is there a the swing? Or is there lots of golf swings? Jim Furyk's the swing is quite a bit different from Lee Trino's the swing, right? So maybe as coaching, we want to get more involved in how they learn.
Real quick, a funny story. I've known Bill for 40 years.
I'm only 25. What are you talking
We
about?
played high school golf together, and Bill was much more advanced than I was in high school. Bill told me when I was learning, he said, I want you to learn how to use the green as a catcher's mitt. So he was telling me things extrinsic, is that what we're?
External.
External things before we even knew what it meant. But that's how I, excuse me, that's how I learned to play golf with Bill. He said, use the green as a catcher's mitt. He said, use your artistic ability to create your golf shot. So I personally have never been stuck on a golf swing. My golf swing doesn't look good,
Yes.
but I'm focused on the outcome of what I can create. So that green was a catcher's mitt, and I still think of that today.
I probably mucked up about 25 other people though and told them the wrong thing. I'm sure I did. And another part of that is, yeah, I was a little bit of an earlier specialist. Like he was riding wheelies on his motorcycle up and down the street. So I've known him since I was 5 years old. And I would be just golfing, hitting balls, like wiffle balls over the street while he'd go by and doing these one foot wheelies. Brett's a very coordinated guy and a good artist. And he's a late specialist in golf, and he's done some pretty awesome things in the game. And some of you have here too. And so when zealous parents go and they're like 5, we want them to really focus on golf. We got to somehow educate those parents about early specialization is not good. Golf's not, and get them to do everything. That long-term athletic development is all about like throwing bean bags and jumping and running and core movement skills. Okay, so external focus. All right, Brett. Like another example might be, you might have your yellow sticks, those whatever garden sticks. You might hear go, hey Brett, I want you to kind of skim the right edge. Let's work on some flights. Let's see you hit a draw. The sticks there. Just use your imagination. Go ahead, Brett. Give it a go around.
And I can tell you, before the recent tournament, I went to a lesson with Bill, and I didn't stand there and hit 7 irons. I hit a driver. I would play the golf course that I was going to play. So I'd hit a driver, I'd hit a second shot, I'd hit a third shot. I didn't hit more than 1 7-iron in the day. I played the whole golf course with Billy's eye, telling me, okay, that was a good shot. So he was telling me to kind of picture what I had ahead of me, and I played fairly well. Didn't win, but I played well. But it helped me, and that changed my whole pattern of how I usually would stand on the golf course and beat 7-irons. And then I go beat drivers, and I think, wow, I'm hitting it pretty well. And I go off the golf course and not play well. I wasn't practicing properly. Billy introduced that to me.
Yeah. Well, we had him rehearse the tournament. Basically, it was a qualifier for the LA. He missed by 2 only this year, and he said he didn't really hit it that great. But that's again the power of rehearsal. I got to admit, I stood up in front of my mirror a couple times to blab my stuff here to be able to stand up here and feel kind of reasonably comfortable. Like I said, it's not my forte to be a public speaker or anything, but with a little practice, you'd be surprised what you can accomplish. All right, so we've got these concepts. All right, let's see your draw, and we might work at, hey, what's the club got to do to make a draw happen? The ball only knows what the club does to it. It doesn't know if your elbow is one way or another. We see Rory McIlroy is kind of like this when he's hitting. He's a little bit non-standard, let's say, but it's awfully good. So that's our examples of the external. Now let's go like contextual interference. All right, Brett, can you stand on just your front leg and hit a couple and do that? One of the coolest things at this Scientific Congress of Golf, they showed a super electron microscope what learning looks like in the brain. And you've got these 2 little neurons, and they've got tendrils. And when they're doing things like that, like 1 foot or eyes closed, this is about how fast they go. And that's what developing bandwidth is. And then there's like the myelination, but this synapses connect. And that's what learning is. And you actually get a dopamine response. So you get rewarded by feeling good when you learn something. So as coaches, our job is to help make our golfers feel good, right? Another one might be like, so practicing in context. All right, Brett, we're on the last hole of the qualifier at Mesa Verde to get in the LA Open next year. It's going to do it again. You watch. And here you are. You got an 8-iron there. We're 152 yards, back left pin. You got to hit a nice high draw. Let's have you go through your routine. You know, really feel it, really see it. You got everyone watching you here. You might even just go. You know, they're at a PGA Tour event right here if all the eyes are on you. It's in the hole. Cinderella story. Stuff like that. You know, how about anyone? Are some of you already doing this? Is anyone doing this? A lot of you. Does anyone just hear these for the first time today? External, internal? Be honest. No one? Oh wow. All right. So everyone had heard of that? All right.
Well, we must have been really boring then, huh?
Yeah. Well, you know, I watched everyone stay awake. That's good. Is there another spring up to that?
Please.
Oh, thanks, Brett. The Fosbury flop of coaching, you know, like, so there's always every once in a while, every few years, someone says along and says, this is the Fosbury flop of golf, and it's maybe, you know, however many planes you're going to swing on, or however you're going to lean your body one way or another, or however, you know, all that stuff. Great players win tournaments, not golf swings, right? So some of the ideas, like as coaches, keep it fun, keep it productive, keep it creative. Go ahead, John.
Well, player-centric, just read down the list.
Oh, well, I said random.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Okay, yeah. And yeah, you know, challenge them. Challenge, like, one of the things that the juniors that I coach have the best time doing is putting against me. We go out and we putt, we play 21, we play games, do things like that, put them in an environment that's kind of like a pressure situation. You know, and you gradually introduce them to pressure situations. Then you can go to places like SCPGA junior tournaments. You know, they have different levels, and if they want to be competitive golfers, you got to create the environment. If it's not contextual, it's like, you know, you practice and there's nothing on it. You put them in a tournament, and all of a sudden they freeze. So, you know, that's pretty important if you're going to be coaching a competitive golfer.
Can I get Don to get some pictures of this? I can shamelessly promote the fact that I did something like this.
Here, I gotta get my coat on.
Anyway, we've
Wear
got
this twice a year.
We've got the Dalai Lama ending. We started with Barkley and ended with Dalai Lama, and had a Sebi in there too. Our prime purpose in this life is to help others, and if you can't help them, at least don't hurt them. Right? So that's kind of the spirit of, you know, like, especially when you get good players coming to you, don't ruin talent. You know, be very careful about how you handle the talent. They can be ruined pretty easily. You know, we golfers are kind of sensitive. I don't know off the top of my head if there's anything else. Anyone have some questions? I mean, come on, let's have a question.
Anyone who want to make some observations? Doc Wright, yeah, you know a lot about this stuff. Could you maybe offer something to the room? I hate to put you on the spot, but
No, that's
you're
okay.
a good source. So.
No, I think you guys have done a tremendous job. One of my areas of specialization is learning, and your summation of it is outstanding. I think what Brett said, I've come, in the last 2 years, I've come full circle. I came into this game as a psychologist and worked with some great players doing much of what Billy described he did with Brett, and seeing the green as the catcher's mitt. I got away from that. And in the last couple of years, I've come back to it. As a golf professional, I became very mechanical. I wanted to understand what I was working with. And it's a slippery slope. You have to be careful. And the things you're talking about, I find very refreshing.
Thank you. Along those same lines, by the way, we're not saying that only external and never internal. Especially newer golfers need some internal instruction. It's just, we want to recognize the minute they kind of got it, like, all right, hold your hand like, you know, here's a grip, here's your kind of, you know, original stance. As early as possible, get them away from that, move them into external. So those are maybe the tricks we need. Zach, did you have a question?
Just about your coaching programs, you know, some of the sessions there. How many have you been using that for a while? You know, as opposed to just the basic half hour, you know, series of 6 lessons, things like that.
No, that's fairly new, and I have a couple people only so far. But it's something that we're going to promote more.
Rob, did you have an observation? Sorry.
Yeah, Don Parsons. has been doing it for years and it works. It's a really good way. And my point is this maybe too, in this spirit, like here, why we're here, we want our golfers to get better and actually get productive coaching and get, recognize that we are of service. Well, anyway, that's.
They were authorities, not experts.
What's the difference? Yeah, we like this, liking authority. Expert, X is an unknown quantity, and a spurt is a drip under pressure.
That was supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
We'll work on that.
That's supposed to get the funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyone else?
Rob, did you have an observation?
I just had a conversation with somebody that was a mentor to me when I was a kid, and he made a statement to me. He said, we as professional golfers have failed. The instant that any student leaves the game. He said, because anybody who loves golf never leaves. And I went, whoa.
Great point. Great point. Did gentleman over there on the...
Can I explain myelination a little more? You kind of skipped over that a little bit.
I did that on purpose because I think.
Doc, right? Doc, help us out here.
What covers the nerve is called the myelin sheath. And as you develop, as learning occurs and the synapses are built, that myelin sheath is basically the protective. Brett can tell you as much about it as I can, having MS, because there's a deterioration of that sheath with that process.
I was explaining to it, it's an extension
Thanks.
cord.
Appreciate it.
The the plastic coating around the wires is your myelin sheath. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
You guys want to hear a song? Okay. Good. Next time. We'll get it okay by Bill.
Well, thank you for letting us share with you.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it.